What if I told you that the same thing that happens to women, girls, men, and boys has happened to the Mexican president? The events I'll tell you about today are alarming, infuriating, and connected to a deeper history in Mexico. How can we understand these deep-rooted problems faced by those around the world and in Mexico? And what does it mean that the president of Mexico can be sexually assaulted in public? And who is safe from these societal issues? You say too late to start, got your heart in a headlock. I don't believe anybody. You say too late to start with your heart in a headlock. Today in this episode of Can We Be Real, we'll talk about the public sexual assault of Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo is a climate change and energy scientist. Sheinbaum is the 66th president of Mexico. She's the first woman and Jewish person to hold the office. Sheinbaum received her doctorate of philosophy from the National Autonomous University of Mexico. She has 2 books out on energy, sustainable development, and the environment. She as well as co-authored over 200 articles. In 2018, she was named one of BBC's Top 100 Women, an annual series that examines the role of women in the 21st century. Sheinbaum's political beliefs have been able to give her a platform and needed fire that many other politicians at her time would not have. Sheinbaum has criticized the economic policies of past presidents of Mexico, citing their neoliberal approach has contributed to inequality in the country. Under her presidency, she has promised to expand welfare. Claudia has a deep background in environmental policy, having done time working as the Minister of Environmental Climate Change for Mexico City and worked on the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This led her to being able to win the panel she was on, a Nobel Peace Prize. Sheinbaum is a self-titled feminist, which aligns her with the understanding that her beliefs and actions are that of gender equality and women's rights. She advocates for legalization of abortion in Mexico, which connects to her larger movements of promoting reproductive rights and autonomy for women. Sheinbaum, in her time leading in Mexico, has implemented a gender-neutral policy regarding school uniforms in state-run schools and championed LGBTQ+ rights. In 2022, she became the first head of government of Mexico City to attend the city's Gay Pride March. This past October, Claudia would go to Mexico City to greet the supporters in the heart of the capital city. On her way to the event, near the presidential palace, the president of Mexico was sexually assaulted in public. Claudia Sheinbaum was seen in a video greeting onlookers. In the video, a man approaches Claudia from behind her and is seen grabbing her chest and trying to kiss her neck. In the absence of her security detail, he would be able to commit his crime in front of onlookers. He put his arm around her shoulder and with his other hand touch her hip and chest whilst trying to kiss her neck. It was only then would we see a member of her team in charge of protecting her finally intervene. Even then, the Mexican president stayed polite to the man and agreed to take a photo with him. She would pat him on the shoulder and continued on her way. In a statement released by the president, she would go on to say, "The man approached me in an advanced state of intoxication. I don't know if he was under the influence of drugs. It was only after watching the videos that I understood what had really happened." Claudia has decided to file a lawsuit against the perpetrator and has spoken about reviewing the national sexual harassment laws. She explained that she filed the lawsuit because the man would go on to attack and harass other women that day after assaulting the president. Sheinbaum would then go on to say this: "I wondered if I don't file a lawsuit, what will happen to other Mexican women? If this happens to the president, what will happen to all women in our country?" The lawsuit was filed against the man from the Office of the Attorney General of Mexico City, where sexual harassment is a crime. The perpetrator, whose name is Uriel Rivera, were handed over to the prosecutor's office for sex crimes. The polarizing incident would spark backlash from stunned social media users, with many wondering why her security team did not prevent the man from attacking the Mexican president in this vulgar manner. The president's office did not immediately respond to an Associated Press request for comment on the incident. The Women's Secretariat, the Women's Institutes and federal units, and the chairs of the gender equality committees in the House of Representatives and the Senate later issued a statement condemning the experience faced by Sheinbaum. Unfortunately, no woman is exempt from experiencing sexual harassment in our country, which is why we work every day to combat it. Mexico has had long played masculinity and violence against women problems. These attacks range from verbal comments made on the streets, in home, or at places of work. It can then be brought into extreme violent attacks like acid, murder, and sexual assault. Claudia had this to say about reviewing the sexual harassment legislation in the country. The government will examine whether this behavior constitutes criminal offense in all states, because it should be, and will launch a campaign. The president would speak about how she herself suffered similar assault in her youth. Because of Mexico being a federal state, the 32 states that make up Mexico have their own penal codes, and not all of them punish this behavior. The harassment of the Mexican president, whose government defends women against discrimination and violence, highlights a deep-rooted problem in Mexico. 70% of Mexican women over the age of 15 have experienced some sort of violence at least once in their lives. In addition, femicide, which is described as the killing of women based on their gender, is a concerning statistic that says an average of 10 murders of women and girls happens per day, according to the United Nations. The Minister of Women in Mexico, Cetalia Hernandez Mora, would have this to say in a post on X following the attack. The violence that we women experience come from the naturalization that some men have regarding the intrusion into our personal space and or our body. They're the results of decades of macho vision. Harassment, molestation, abuse, and any violence directed towards women cannot be ignored or minimized. We must report it and fight against it. From the Secretariat and the state-level women's agencies, we work every day for this purpose. We repudiate the act that our president faced today. We invite all men to actively involve themselves in building a reality where respect, equality, and a life free of violence are the everyday norm. So, with the information in mind, how can other countries learn from the mistakes of the past that plague its modern day? By not only addressing, but as well stamping out this type of behavior by enshrining it in federal law is how. Mexico is the chance, like every other country, state, township, and government, to rewrite their current history for a better future. Charging criminals that commit not only gender-based crimes, but as well any sexual assault by holding them accountable to the longest jail sentences and fines in a way that makes these actionables preventable. Also goes to say, education plays a role in this as well. Not to educate women and girls to protect themselves from these type of men and boys, but for young men and even adults to be taught these things and to be spoken about so these people can be reprimanded. By the way of learning from others in youth or adulthood that this type of behavior should be policed socially before it escalates to someone assaults, there's a chance that this could be done not only by the government, but as well by the bureaucracy and those living in Mexico, that they would be able to accept and show something to be able to make this change happen. I think that this could be true for anyone around the world, and I think that this could be true for America to put things in our backyard. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you need more information, I put all the links that I used for this video down below. You should look more into this if you already don't know more about it, or this is the first time you're hearing about it. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.